Hello, my name is Darryl Morin, and I'm speaking to you live here from O'Hare Airport in Chicago as I'm making my way back to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I spent this last week in Washington, D.C. for the purposes of attending the LULAC Legislative Gala and attending our board meeting, and as per the LULAC Constitution, formally announcing my candidacy for office. After numerous conference calls throughout the week, we knew going into this board meeting that the board was clearly determined to fulfill the demands of their membership and force LULAC National President Rocha Jr. to leave office if he didn't choose to do so of his own volition. What the majority of the board was unaware of was the extent of the orchestrated effort that was in place to make sure that not only did President Rocha stay in office, but that they anoint his successor, the person who would succeed him at this next national convention. Before even the first meeting was open, Rocha Jr. appeared and he spoke fiercely of his determination to defend the league and his presidency. He concluded his statement by cowardly saying that his legal representatives had just served LULAC's then Chief Executive Officer, Brent Wilkes, with a temporary restraining order. This temporary restraining order would keep the board from taking any action to remove or impeach him. In one swift action, he had denied the board and you, a LULAC member, the rights assured you under the Constitution to remove or impeach your national president, if so justified. After consulting with independent counsel, they found a number of inaccuracies, not only within the order, but we also found out, surprisingly enough, it was issued by a retired judge in South Texas. The judge issued the order without giving the board any notice or opportunity to rebut Rocha Jr.'s claims of irreparable harm. While the order was clearly flawed, it succeeded in doing the one thing it was designed to do, stopping the board from removing him from office this weekend at the board meeting. This very threat of legal action also created much concern amongst the board members that they may be sued individually if they moved forward. It was for this reason, and only after extensive negotiations of our legal advisor negotiating on behalf of President Rocha, that they were able to come to an agreement that he would allow them to pass and issue a statement simply saying that they had a vote of no confidence in Rocha Jr., and that's all it says. He did agree to ask the courts to rescind his temporary restraining order, but only if LULAC National VP for the Midwest, Joe Henry, would agree, as a gentleman, would agree to no longer post negative articles of him on Facebook or speak negatively of him to members of the media, and that he not support any efforts to remove him from office. Of course, these are against our rules and regulations and Constitution right here at LULAC, but they also infringe on his right to freedom of speech. But as a gentleman, he agreed to do so for the good and welfare of the league, if only Rocha Jr. would be half the man that he is. It was at this point that a man that many of us consider the heart and soul of LULAC just simply had had enough and asked the board to accept his resignation, Brent Wilkes. So as effective as of this last Saturday, Brent Wilkes, the man many of us admire and in certain cases aspire to be, chose to left LULAC rather than to try to keep the organization afloat under this leadership. Sadly, this wasn't all that I witnessed. Representatives from my opponent's campaign were actively advocating on Rocha Jr.'s behalf, justifying the legal action he took against LULAC and you, defending his letter to President Trump pledging support to making his vision for America a reality, justifying his excessive and lavish spending habits, which were made public at this board meeting, and justifying his actions in dismissing the complaints numerous employees had filed against Rocha Jr. for their treatment while serving underneath him. In certain instances, they even threatened board members if they didn't fall in line. They kept espousing that LULAC is a democracy. If you want to remove him, do so at the convention. But many of these are the same individuals that keep the voice of democracy from being heard at our national elections. A clear demonstration of hypocrisy. Tragically, this was the same tactic used to secure endorsements for my opponent. A letter of endorsement was presented before almost all of the board members and other influential leaders in LULAC, demanding that they sign it and endorse my opponent. If they did not agree to sign it, they were either provided incentives or threatened. My opponent was aware of these tactics. and did nothing to curtail it. Here, an organization that purports to stand for individual rights, for the importance and the right to vote, once again is seeking to deny it by the person seeking to lead it. That is completely unacceptable. I share this with you today. While all the members of the committee to elect Darryl Morin are personal friends of Rocha Jr., and while we all understand everyone is fallible, we, to a person, all strongly believe that under the combination of circumstances, Rocha Jr. needs to be removed from office. Our campaign, unlike my opponents, will not prop him up and will not justify his behavior that is counter to everything the League stands for, and more importantly, what is best for our community. I myself was approached with incentives and subtly threatened that if I continued my candidacy, that I would suffer the consequences as well. This is a new day at LULAC. The need for LULAC is too great. We can no longer condone this corruption of principle, this irresponsible behavior on behalf of the League, and that will threaten our community. The need to defend human dignity outweighs any friendship, any financial inducement, or a political enticement they can offer. This is indeed a new day for LULAC, and LULAC is no longer for sale. And for those who may be thinking of taking legal action against me, be forewarned. My memory is excellent and it is long, and so is that of the countless supporters that I have throughout the country. You come after me, we're going to make sure information is made aware to all those who need to be made aware of it. I will not be bought, and I will not be threatened, nor will I be intimidated. So let me plainly and clearly say, my name is Darryl Morin, and I am running for LULAC National President. Thank you.